I'll go ahead and record.
So you got the recording going. Should be able to just let me admit everybody. But
You should be able to hit admit all. If you click the participation list, if you see participants out down at the bottom, it should show like a icon with like people at the bottom. And let me see if I can help, Tony.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to be sorry. I'm going to say admit all.
Oh, there it is. I see it
Yeah.
now. Okay.
All right. What? Oh, and I'm sorry. Hang on just a second. I have to, let's see.
Well, it looks like,
From Harvard
okay.
Stem Cell Institute recently
Hold on.
proved that vision problem has absolutely nothing to do with genes, age,
I didn't realize that,
time.
there we go. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our final
Welcome.
regular sort of term webinar. This is going to be a very informative, but hopefully enjoyable time for us all to spend in this last final month of our main service term webinar. So hope you were able to see part of or all of the video that Mindy put together for us. I think she did a great job. And I will be sharing out the link to that in the slideshow later today when I send all that information out for the training. So let's go ahead, and I would like, let me admit. All right, so we are going to start our connection this morning with a poll, and I will launch that here in just a minute. I'm going to ask that if you haven't already, please do what's called rename on Zoom, but you can click the ellipses next to your name, or in some cases you can just kind of click your name. But if you kind of go over your picture, you can click the ellipses and then rename, and make sure that you have your name, your school, and your year of service. And I haven't done that, so I'm going to do mine. I'm going to click rename, and then I'm just going to add, I'm just going to put program manager, and then year. I guess really this is my year too, but so if you are struggling with that, maybe we can work on that another time, but typically you're just going to find the ellipses by your name, click it, click rename, and then change your the way that your name reads. So I see a lot of you are already doing that, so thank you so much. Also, make sure that during the time that we are presenting that you have your mic on mute. It just kind of cuts down on the background noise. And also, if you are in a workspace, an office that has a door, if you are able to close that, put a note on the door just to let everybody know that you're in a meeting, that would be great. All right. So for our connection question today, I want to know, what did you listen to on the way to your site? So maybe you can just, music, a specific song or whatever, but I'm going to launch a poll just to make it easy for us. And honestly, I've never done this before, so bear with me if it's, but it looks like some of you are voting already. Good, it's working. So what did you listen to on the way into your site this morning? Music, news or talk radio, an audiobook, a phone call, nothing but silence, or maybe there's something else that I didn't think of. So I'll give everybody just a few moments to respond to the poll. And I thought of this connection question as I was driving to East Kentucky last week, and I was listening to all sorts of different things. And I thought, wow, it's amazing what all we kind of put into our brain in the morning. All right, so I'm going to go. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to respond to the poll. If not, we'll have more poll questions throughout the slideshow today. So I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to share results. And can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes, Karen.
All right, so it looks like that 74% of you listen to some type of music, and I wasn't able to break it down for the purpose of this poll, but I would love to do another poll at some time to see what kind of music you all listen to. But it looks like some of you were listening to news talk radio, one person, and then I love that 16% of you said, you know what, I just needed silence. A little self-care maybe, but music can be self-care as well. So excellent. Thank you so much for participating in the first poll I've ever done. All right. So here is our agenda for the webinar today. So I already kind of presented the video, and like I said, once you get the slideshow sent to you later today, you can just click this link here and you can see the video which I believe is on YouTube, that Mindy put up there. But we do have a couple of things that we want to talk about just to, about the in-person training. So I'll mention that first, and then we'll MSA member service agreement updates. Also, I have an announcement about summer service peer leader positions. And then we will talk about America Learns, about the new phone app that they have. And then a little bit about ambassador interest and nominations for 23-24. So I'll share that with you. And then we will also be going over exit instructions and a tip sheet for our coaches. And then we will also discuss core senior recognition items. I know a lot of you have shown some real interest in that, and we're so excited for your seniors and all of the hard efforts that you've put into getting them where they are. And so those would be some important information about getting those items to you, and then also cleaning up data so that sort of matches, sort of your records that you've been keeping on your seniors. And then we'll just kind of close with questions, but then also sort of a takeaway or a checkout. All right, so as far as, let me turn this off. All right, so as far as wrapping up the in-person training, and I want to thank everyone that has done a great job of getting your travel reimbursement information and your timesheet recording in there and sent out. So a few of you had some questions about that, and I apologize for any gaps in information, but your travel should be sent to me. So you can email it directly to me, or you can email it to, Shelly or Tony, and they'll direct it to me. But I am happy to get those directly. So you can email the Excel spreadsheet that you will be downloading from the NKU website. And then your maps or map to go along with that. And then there's information in the in-person training notes that was sent out before we left, along with that agenda, and that explains how your timesheet needs to be filled out, the hours. Now, if you did not attend the training, then you're just going to record your regular hours that you serve there at your site. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to, you can put them in the chat. And Tony, if you wouldn't mind just kind of monitoring that, if somebody has a question that others would benefit from, I'd love to hear those at this time. Anything that we need to discuss about the training, travel, and time?
No questions yet.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So again, thank you to all of you that were able to go ahead and get that turned in. I was really impressed with the speed of that. So, Doug just wants me to let everybody know that once he gets those, so I look at them, I kind of double check them. I send them to Doug. He is our budget coordinator. And then typically once he kind of goes through them and enters them, it will take up to 4 weeks typically to get that reimbursement. If you are set up on direct deposit, that will go to your direct deposit to your bank. If you are not, then I guess they will send a check out. And it does typically, those reimbursements, once they are done, they will hit your account on a Tuesday. So I've seen them come in at different times, but typically Tuesday, I've been told, is the day that they will hit. So you can just expect, about 4 weeks from the time that you submit. All right. Here's an important announcement regarding your MSA. So since the start of most of your service, there have been some changes, and those changes to your original MSA are made by way of an addendum. So there are 2 addendums. Let me let them in. There are 2 addendums that are in the process of being added to your accounts in America Learns. The first one is regarding summer service. So for those of you that started, closer to fall of 22, your term of service is very likely listed as the ending on May 31st of 2023. And if you have agreed to serve over the summer, then we have to change that on your MSA. So those will be going to your America Learns in your profile. And I have I'm not sure if you can see that here, not on the screen, but so once you log into America Learns where it says view and update my profile, if you click that, under your member file, you should see these the summer addendum if that is applicable to you. So you'll click that and you just have to sign saying, yes, my term of service has now been lengthened to July 31st. If you are not serving over summer, you may or you probably won't see it. But if you do and you're not serving over summer, just please do not fill that out. The other change to your MSA, and this would be for members who started service before January 1st of this year, there was a living allowance increase, if you remember. And so that was not reflected in your MSA that you might have signed in the fall. So for those of you that started service before January, you will likely have an additional addendum that you will need to sign. And you can see here in my example, I'm not sure how clear it transfers out, but it says an amendment for increased living allowance. And so you'll also need to click and sign that as well. These need to also be signed by program managers. So once you sign, then we will sign as a witness as well. Any questions that are popping up about the addendums to the MSAs? Okay. All right. So if you do have questions, feel free to email your program manager after our webinar today, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. All right. Moving right along, summer peer leader positions. So summer peer leader positions are what we call affiliate or part-time AmeriCorps positions. And we have a number of these positions available for students in your school, for example, that are 17 or older, that are looking for a summer sort of work-based learning opportunity. maybe they don't, maybe they haven't had a job before and they're just looking for sort of a safe environment, something to do other than maybe fast food. And they're wanting to work, serve in the school, perhaps alongside of you in your coaching duties to help support you. We will also be talking about later about some of these positions for fall, but right now we're just going to focus on summer. But these are 100-hour summer positions. So similar to any of your summer service hours, it'll be about 20 hours average per week. The student does need to be 17 or older, no experience necessary. And they will assist and support, again, some of the duties that you'll be doing over the summer, but they could also be performing other duties as well. So they will need to have a designated site supervisor. It can be the same site supervisor that you have, but you directly will not be able to serve as their site supervisor. So just wanted to point that out. That doesn't mean that they can't sort of do things with you or partner with you, but there will need to be a school site supervisor designated, available to them for guidance as well as approving timesheets. This is an unpaid position, unfortunately, for these part-time peer leaders, but they are eligible for the Siegel Education Award. So if they successfully complete the 100-hour term over the course of the summer, then they will earn a $365 education award, and they can, keep that and use it for education expenses like you all have available to you. If they're a junior and they're 17 or older, then they can maybe serve this summer and perhaps next summer if we have these available, and they can just stack those. So it's a great way to introduce AmeriCorps service to students at your school. Maybe they're looking for some leadership opportunities, or just that first sort of employment experience, and this would be a great way to do that. If you do have questions about the peer leader positions, please reach out to your program manager. I believe, did I put it on here? Let me check. Yeah, well, you probably can't see it on my screen, but when you get this slideshow sent to you later, there is a link down here for the interest form. So I created an interest form, so you can still reach out to us with questions about that. But if you yourself know that there are some students in your school that you think, oh, these would be great positions for them, or please share this with your site supervisors, with your schools, to see if they're interested as well. And if so, they can just click here to get that information started, and we'll reach out to them and try to get that process going. Any questions about summer peer leader positions? Or if any of the staff want to chime in, if I've left something out, please let me know. All right, great. Do we need to do some wake up things or something?
Mm-hmm.
You all, this is great. So that tells me that you all are probably muted. So I appreciate that, just to keep the noise level down. But it's hard on my end because it's like there's no energy. There's nothing coming back. So hopefully you guys are wide awake. All right. All right. So I guess it's time to do another poll then. So what we're going to do is, before I kind of talk about what's on this slide, let me go back.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
I hate to be the old person in the room, but I didn't know how to do the poll.
Oh,
when
okay.
I saw it, what do? I tried to click on it and it wouldn't take it.
Okay. Is there somebody in the room?
Carrie's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Good.
Gregory, were you able to figure out how to do the poll?
Yes. So yeah, it was just simple. It came up, it gave you options, and you just clicked on the option and hit submit. So it was pretty straightforward.
I clicked on the option and I didn't see submit. So I will try it
All right,
again.
let's try it again. So we're taking a new poll. Now, this is kind of a fun poll, right? But it's leading into my next slide. So Android or iPhone, and no
wait a
fights.
minute. You know what?
We don't want any arguments. But which do you prefer?
Karen, I'm sorry. Maybe because I'm a host, it's different.
Oh, it's not letting you participate?
No, I think I just ended it for everybody. So we're going to relaunch it.
Yeah, so mine showed
So
up for about, there it
I
is.
cannot participate.
Okay,
There it is.
all right,
It
let's do
wasn't
it
me being
again.
old. I just
That's
cannot.
Tony,
as
you
a
don't need to
host.
apologize. I'm new at this, so I'm just trying to have fun
Yeah.
and try out some little bells and whistles. So Android or iPhone? And I know this could be a heated debate.
I'm sorry, Karen, is this just our choice, what we prefer?
Yes, what you
or-
prefer,
Okay.
what you
Thank you.
prefer. This is just an opinion poll. So this is, you don't need to, it's not going to lead to anything other than just a conversation. So, all right. So it looks like our iPhone has the highest number. And you know, I always had an Android. So let me share results here. All right. So here's the results. And so, you know, I personally, I guess I just don't have the latest and greatest version of the iPhone, and I do like it, but I have seen the camera quality on some of these Android phones, and I am like totally blown away. So I'm really thinking that maybe my next phone might be an Android phone. So, but here are the results, folks. This is the way that we voted. So 77% prefer iPhone, 23% prefer Android. And that's just the way it is. So thank you for participating. So Tony, it never let you participate. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry. Oh, that's okay.
As
All
the
right,
host,
so-
I did not get the option.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll have to do some research later. So the reason that I asked that question, you know, it's always kind of a fun question. Everybody has an opinion usually, but there is a new America Learns timesheet app that is available to you. I've been told that our program has been asked to beta test this app. So if you are a techie person, an innovator, then you might want to participate in this beta. So if you have a Google or Android phone, then you'll want to click this link again. Once you get the slideshow sent to you, you're not going to do it now. Or if you are an Apple iPhone user, then you'll click here. Before you download and get going on it, you might want to watch the video to see how it works. So if you click the link here, it will kind of go through that and show you what all features are included in this new app. And I even talked to Shelly yesterday, who's at a training out of town, and she was in a session that was demoing this timesheet app, and she said it's fantastic, and there's lots of cool features that we can likely use in the future as far as communicating with coaches and things like that. But for right now, this is just the coach version that is available. The program managers, we don't have access to this just yet. As far as a phone app goes. So try it out. I'm curious to hear what you think about it. And then moving forward, we'll very likely use this or encourage its use moving forward in the fall. Any questions or comments about the America Learns timesheet app? All right. Then we'll keep moving along. Okay. So very exciting announcement about our ambassador program. So first of all, thank you so much to all of the ambassadors that served in 22-23. I have learned so much from you, and I'm inspired by you, and you have just done amazing things with the program, your own professional development. And I just really just am so grateful to you and for stepping up. I mean, it was a lot of a lot of effort on your part, in addition to your average role there in the school. So you have really set the bar high for ambassadors moving forward. So it's my understanding that the ambassadors met yesterday and have sort of reworked a few details about the ambassador program. But overall, we are looking for interest and nominations for the 23-24 ambassador program. And the goals of the ambassador program are listed here. So in addition to just really setting a great example what the program is meant to be. You will be helping new coaches with the beginning of their service and just kind of getting them started, providing structure overall. And then and then also again, sort of taking the lead on your own professional growth. So this will be open to coaches with one or more term of service who have excelled in looking for a leadership opportunity. So there is So if you are interested in maybe putting your name in the hat for the ambassador program for the 23-24 year, there is a form that you will fill out, and that link is here on this particular slide, and we'll likely highlight that in an email as well, so you won't have to necessarily dig through, but you can nominate yourself or someone else. So if there is someone maybe that was on your team this year that you feel really just went above and beyond and just had great leadership qualities, lots of knowledge, and just passion overall for students and this program, I would encourage you to nominate them. They may or may not take you up on it or take us up on it, but at least it's kind of a nice gesture to recognize the service that they did. So there is a complete ambassador position description that you can access by clicking this link here, and it will kind of run you through. Again, it'll re-mention the goals that are on that slide, but then kind of who is eligible and just sort of the responsibilities that go along with that, and just the overall expectations of an ambassador. So please, before you nominate yourself or someone else, I would definitely encourage you to take the time to read through this carefully, make sure that, you feel that this is something that you are interested or this person might be interested in and that you can meet. Do any of our ambassadors want to just kind of say a few words about the experience that you had that might encourage another coach on the call today to maybe consider this?
I think if you want to kind of get out of your comfort zone and learn something new, I mean, that's where growth happens. So if you're interested in, doing something different, getting, we all need to hone in our skills, and the ambassador role kind of gives you that opportunity to do that. So I did it. I mean, it was fun. You get a little bit more involved, and we had a great ambassador meeting yesterday. Just a lot of good things going on, so you kind of get an early heads up, but then again, you're there to really encourage your coaches.
Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that explanation and reflection of your experience and the endorsement of the program. Any other ambassador on the call want to add to what Greg just shared? All right.
Well, one thing is it does pay an extra $100 a month as well. That's part of it, which isn't a lot, but everything helps. If you take that risk and sign up, you get a little benefit, just a little bit more money. But
I appreciate you highlighting that. I did not mention that specifically, but yes, I mean, don't let that be obviously the reason that you do it. And like you said, Greg, it's not a lot, but so I doubt that would necessarily be, the sole motivator there, but it is a nice, way to recognize or sort of to compensate you for that extra effort in some way. Cheryl, thank you for raising your hand. What question do you have about the ambassador program?
Is there a lot of travel with that position? I noticed throughout the year that usually the ambassadors, I thought, came to like our events and conferences maybe a day early, but I'm not sure if that would still be the same or if there's more travel. Could you talk a little bit about that, please?
Cheryl, thank you. That's an excellent question. So to my knowledge, and please other ambassadors, feel free to correct me or add to, but typically speaking, you're right. For the in-person trainings, we we have asked the ambassadors to arrive sort of the previous day or earlier than the rest of the group, because there is a lot, that co-creation value that we really emphasize, just helping with setup and just conversations and just really setting the tone for the conference. So yes, there's lots to do. They have an active participation. Maybe they're doing some presenting or speaking, helping with sort of logistics and things like that. So that's a really great question, Cheryl. So, but other than that, Carmen or Annette, Ashley, Cassidy, did you have any additional travel other than that?
No, we didn't have any other travel, just the one day early. That was it. I mean, we have the opportunity to go visit our coaches and stuff like that, but there's no travel really involved in being an ambassador.
I did go to Ohio County and Barron County to see ambassadors from my team, but that was strictly volunteer. That was my idea, and it was not mandatory.
Great question and great input. And yes, and thank you, Annette, for pointing that out. So typically speaking, when we had a new coach come on board, maybe that started a little bit later in the year, we would definitely connect that coach immediately with their ambassador team. And then often they would maybe travel to the ambassador's host site to kind of do some shadowing, or vice versa. The ambassador would travel to the coach's school to kind of just spend a couple hours or the day just going over, it's just a little bit easier, I think, to do that on the, in the position training, sometimes with a veteran coach. It's very helpful. So that may be part of it as well.
Right. And we did do an extra little bit of travel allowance to be able to budget that in.
Thank you, Tony. And depending on, who throws their name in the hat, we are looking at some new structure or a different structure for next year. So, I know this year, for example, none of our ATC coaches had been, on board long enough really, or were pulled into the ambassador program because most of them were brand new. So they wouldn't have qualified. But and some of you have mentioned, an ambassador from an HEC would be helpful, things like that. So depending on our nominations, and interviews and things like that, we are looking to sort of diversify as far as the type of school that our ambassadors are representing. So, so we're just really excited to see who all applies and what that looks like. So any other questions or comments about the ambassador program? And again, feel free once you get this slideshow, click to read the position description in full, and then go ahead and click here to nominate yourself or someone else. And we have set a deadline. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, Tony, or any of the ambassadors. I thought the deadline to apply would be 5/31. Is that correct? Or are we extending that a little longer?
That really was a date, timeline wasn't really discussed, but
Okay. So
I
we'll
would say
call
we'd
that.
be doing it definitely by the end of May.
Okay. So it
think
might be
that's
a
fair.
loose deadline, but we encourage you to apply by May 31st. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So let's talk about core senior recognition. And so again, this is a great time of the year. I know I was talking with Annette before everyone else hopped on, and tomorrow is her senior decision day. And she said there's a lot of great energy there and the school, and she's very excited. And I'm just so excited for all of your seniors and all your students overall. So we had mentioned, I think back in the March webinar, about that we were trying to coordinate a program where we could provide your core senior students with some type of recognition item, a certificate, a pin that they could put on their gown, or an honor cord. And our first step in that process was surveying the school. So reaching out to the principals and the site supervisors to see if this was even allowed. And a good number of the schools did respond to the survey, although there are some that did not. And, for any school that said, we do not allow cords or things like that, we want to honor that. We want to make sure that we are, working within their policies. Some of them would require it, but it required site-based approval, which could be a lengthy process. So overall, we had, like I said, a pretty good response. Most of the schools did say that they were definitely interested in a certificate for those core seniors, as well as a pin that they could put on their gown. And then a few schools did say honor cords. They were really excited about that. And I know many of you have already, if you are on Tony's team, I know that many of you have given her that information about the number of core seniors that you would like to have recognized through one of these or one or more of these items. So for my group, I know some of you have sort of sent me some things, but I haven't really responded because I wasn't sure how this was all going to go down. So I wasn't ignoring you. I was just kind of waiting. I didn't want to give wrong information. So
Okay.
today, oh, go ahead, Tony.
Kayla has a question.
Yes.
Go on, but I kind of already took the initiative and kind of created a goodie bag for my seniors, and I have been giving them out since next week's their last week.
What have
For
you been
summer,
giving your seniors? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I created a goodie bag filled with like a
Oh.
recipe book, a microwave stuff. So
No,
it's
that's
okay that I already
great.
took the initiative to just do it. It was like,
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
and
deadline's
that's
coming next week.
absolutely, yes. And I know, right, I know a lot of graduation dates are coming up like ASAP. So no, the recognition bag or the senior bags, things like that's sort of separate from this. The graduation recognition items are a little bit more formal. And so no, that's fine, Kayla. I
Okay,
think that's great
sorry.
that no problem at all. So if you were on Tony's team, make sure that you get that information to her. We are asking for the number of your core seniors who are eligible to have that number, that count by this Friday. Now, if you were on my team, I'm going to send out a survey, a form, a Google form, and I will have that sent out right after this meeting. So just fill it out. And then that way I can kind of get a count, and we're going to start mailing those items out to you on Monday of next week. But let's step back for a moment. Let's talk about who is eligible, which students are eligible to receive these items, this recognition. And so first of all, I know I've been asking for you all to go into America Learns to look at your core seniors to make sure that they all have anticipated graduation dates marked as 2023. It's a little, I'm trying to not be too shocking, but I have gone in and kind of poked around a little bit at core senior information or core student information in general. And I'm still seeing core students listed without anticipated graduation dates. So we need to make sure first and foremost that your seniors are marked with anticipated graduation date of 2023. Okay, so that's first and foremost. When we go to pull data for things like this, like we should be able to right now just pull those numbers for you. But because the data has some holes in it, we can't do that. So we want to really make your job easier in the long run by having all that information there. But for right now, we know that information isn't consistent across the board. And it's okay. Some of you are still in a learning curve and all that. So I'm not beating you up. I'm just saying that we need to make sure that when we put a core student in, that we are putting an anticipated graduation date at that time.
So Karen,
Yes.
our seniors, we need that information by this Friday.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Update all the seniors
Yes.
by this Friday.
Yes. So at some point, over the next couple of weeks after Friday, we want you to do the same for your freshman and your sophomore. But our priority right now, so that we can get these items mailed out to you for your seniors is Friday, May 5th. Okay, so not only do we need counts, but we also need that fixed in America Learns. We need that to match what you're telling us. In addition to that, we also need for you to make sure that you have met with the student. Okay, so if you had somebody sign up, in August, but then they never came to you, they never, returned your emails, they, this or that, then technically speaking, they did not engage in the program. And, and not that we don't want to celebrate the fact that they're graduating. I think that's wonderful. But, this is a symbol of participation in our program and all the benefits that you provide to those students and helping them along that way. So if you do not have meeting times logged for these students, for a student, please, you do not include them on that count, because technically speaking, they did not participate in the program.
Wait,
Cheryl, question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, Cassidy put in, when we transferred from Encore to America Learns, some of that data did not come through. So it's not that you all forgot to put it in, because Cassidy was saying you have to put it in now. But what got transferred over may not have pulled all that information. So that's why we have to go back and do it. Okay, and then now,
Cassidy,
Cheryl.
thank you so much. Yeah, I probably sounded kind of harsh and now I feel bad. Because I understand that makes total sense how that happened. So my apologies if anyone was offended by my tone. But we do want to make sure that whenever a course a student is entered, and now I know from that transfer that is definitely a way that likely happened. But Cheryl, question.
Yes, so on those students that maybe, that you're giving examples of, we didn't really meet with more than once or something, do we mark them dropped in America Learns?
Okay, so I'm going to ask some of my fellow staff colleagues to maybe let's discuss this or to respond. I mean, in my mind, I would say that we should leave them for now, but just not include them in our counts, and maybe set a goal of in the next couple of weeks, maybe just to try to touch base with them. But I don't know, Tony or
I agree with that.
Okay.
Because the school year is not over, and it is highly possible that you will have some seniors at the last minute want you to do A to Z, getting them into college. So I would leave them in there, but I would not reward them until they have met with you. And so we have a couple more raised hands here.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good question. Carmen?
All right.
At the beginning of the year on Google Classroom and via email, I told them my new my virtual kids, it's just been, I've had one or two that would actually correspond with me. So I told them they would have 3 to 4 times to respond to me. And if they did not, I would assume that they were no longer interested in the program, and then I would exit them.
Yeah, and right. I mean, it takes a lot of effort, to recruit and to monitor and, and meet with students. And I feel like moving forward, since we are sort of setting this precedent now with recognition items, and hopefully we can continue this in the future, that too can be an incentive. I've seen students, jump through all sorts of hoops, to get honor cords and things like that, so, that could be a motivator for students moving forward. Now it might be a little bit too late, but, we have until Friday. So if that is something that you can encourage students, between now and Friday to meet with you, to log that time, and so that to include their name, and, include them in the count for your list of recognition items. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, if you sign up, you really should participate, but there are lots of barriers to that. You know, there's lots of reasons why students don't. And that's something, a bigger conversation. That
Well,
we can
and
all
our
learn from.
counselors on the surveys wanted to have some proof or affirmation that the students did participate. All right, and Emily, you have your hand up.
Hi, yes, so just to kind of piggyback on the question about when do we drop students? I know right now you probably don't have time because it's not captured in this training, but I would love some guidance about
Actually, we are
when
going to go
someone-
over that.
Okay, all right, perfect.
That's part of our program today, and we're working on an exit and tip strategy.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
I have a question, but I don't know how to raise my hand on the thing.
Just like this.
Okay. So I have been working with like going through this list, and you know, I have the kids that come see me and such, but whenever I did start this position, I had core students already in America Learns, and I was super afraid to disconnect from those kids just because I didn't know what happened. I didn't know where those kids were. I also had a student that had passed away, and I still haven't disconnected from her because I never got a clear answer on yes, okay, yes, do it, or no, don't do it. So I do have some seniors on my list that have never met with me, you know, and I always try to reach out to them, but I'm in a different building. So do I disconnect from those kids? I've tried the college coach situation in the high school. Whenever that he had moved job positions, we were never really able to get together to see if those were any of his kids either, because we did have the same core students at one point. So I guess my question is it okay to disconnect? And is it okay that I never did get to meet with some of those students?
Yes, it is okay. Certainly with the sad one that passed away, we know that one could be exited out. And the others, like when you're, especially for the counties where we have the ATC and the high school, once you figure out who has that core student, if it's not you, then you should exit them from yours because they're going to be connected to the other person. And your counselors are a way to tell you also, the guidance counselors are people that you could call and just say, do you know what the story is on this student? Are they still here? Do you know if they need any help? And like Carmen did, once you've reached out a few times, if they really truly are not participating, it is okay to drop them, exit them out. But I would probably, other than the one that passed away, I might at this point wait till after graduation, just because I know from experience, students will wake up at the last minute and say, oh my gosh, I need help. Who do I go to? So at this point, there's no rush in doing it. So I would wait till after graduation, other than the one.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, that helped me out a lot, really.
Good. Okay.
I actually had a student that I disconnected from for the same reason, Clara, and then that afternoon he walked in my office just to like just to prove Tony's point.
Well, you know what they say, but yeah, so this is a great, this is a call to action on several fronts, but cleaning up data is important. And then getting those students recognized and counted in with those active core seniors numbers. So great questions. So once we get your counts, as I said before, we will start to send out those recognition items early next week. Hopefully that you'll have them by mid to the end of next week to share with your students. If we miss a deadline or something like that, I apologize, but we're going to work very, very hard to get those items to you. Now, I'm going to move on to the next screen, and this is still connected to this senior recognition, but it is good at digging down into the data a little bit more. So we did run a report of seniors across the state and by school, and there are some issues with the data. Some students are showing not connected to a school. Some students are showing not connected to a coach. But for the most part, once you get past that, it's a pretty good look at the breakdown. So I'm going to click the link, and this link is included in the PDF. And if we have time in our meeting today, you know, we might only have 10 minutes or so, I will provide this link in the chat so you all can kind of start looking at it. But this is the list of seniors that are right now included in America Learns. So this first part here, and I'm just going to keep scrolling, you know, not these students are showing as anticipated graduation date of 2023, that they're active, but they are not connected to a coach or a school. So we're not really sure what's going on there. We don't know what happened. So if, so we're just kind of asking if any of these student names look familiar, once you start looking at the list, you know, let us know so that we can try to start making some corrections there. And then if you scroll a little bit further, we see students, seniors that are connected to a coach, but that coach is not showing a school connected. So we're not sure why that happened, because typically speaking, when our America Learns accounts are created, those are already set up. So we're not really sure about that. So if you have your name on any of these students, let's talk about maybe what's going on there with entering information. So there are quite a few of those students that fit that category. And again, it might just be a quick kind of fix. You know, it might be an issue where these students were transferred over from Encore or something like that, and that might make all the difference. So there's that group. But once you get past that, then we have these wonderful, beautiful examples of what that should look like, where we have students, seniors, the coach, and the school, and that they're showing active for at this time. So your counts that you provide us should match definitely these numbers, or hopefully match or be close to, as long as you have logged hours. Again, so, you know, it's possible that, you know, that Kendra here did not ever meet with Kristen, and therefore she would not include her if she was not able to get her pulled in to a conference or something like that before Friday. So, but these should be a good guide of what kind of numbers you're providing. But if you're giving me numbers that are like double this, or, you know, over this amount of what you're seeing here based on, you know, your school and your name, then chances are some of these students up here there needs to be some corrections made in America Learns. And again, I wish I had the answer like why it's not doing that. But I'm hoping that through this conversation that we can figure that out. Any comments, input on this?
I would still think that it goes back to, it has to be the students we transferred in, because it doesn't let you complete their profile if you don't click everything. And I didn't think to go back through and check all those, so I'll get that done.
Okay. Rachel, I think what you said makes sense. I mean, I'm learning so much today, and I appreciate that insight. And so, yeah, so this is not me being harsh or yelling. It's me asking you to help me solve this. And it sounds like we might be onto something there. Ashley.
So I think, you know what, I think I figured out what mine was.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the school, like for most of mine, the school from Encore had already said Warren East High School. So if it already says it, I think I was under the impression that that school was it. And I didn't realize you had to go back and click it. So never mind.
No, that's great. I love discovery. So no, that's fantastic. That's what we're looking for, is answers. we need data, you know, not only from this, like I said, call to action for make sure that our seniors are being recognized appropriately, that they've actually participated, but long-term overall, when we're talking about continued funding for our program, and proof, evidence that it is making a difference, we know it is, but we have to have the evidence to back that up for our funders and news, you know, to promote this program to schools and parents and students. If our data is lacking, we're missing out on that magic, really, on, you know, on that impact. So it is important for this project of, you know, recognizing seniors, but overall, it is so important to the viability of our program overall. Ben, question?
Yes, at my school, the previous college coach had already met with the students on the list, and their FAFSA and everything was done, and they really didn't meet with me that much because they were kind of already done. I mean, do I
But
disconnect
I would
from
still
them?
count them. Oh, yes, I would count them because he met with the coach. And then I saw on the scan that for the ATC, they were still connected to the previous coach. And I know you're working with Savannah. So
Yeah.
maybe when you all get together, you can help her request those to be transferred to her.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to interrupt just a second here, Karen. Gail put in that for our nominations for the ambassadors, that we want to set that as May 22nd for the nominations, because there will be ambassador meetings on in the summer, and the first one will be June 7th at 10 a.m. East Central Time. So we do want to try to get all the nominations in so that we can select and include them when we have our next meeting. Okay.
Thank you so much, Gail. And I did just update the slide. So when that's sent out later today, that will include that new deadline of May 22nd. Thank you. And just to point out here, so we're asking for the count of your seniors that qualify, that are eligible for recognition. We're asking for that by Friday, May 5th. I believe Tony's team, you have just requested that they email you, I believe. And then for my team, I will be sending out a form today that you can put those counts in. Now, as far as cleaning up your core senior list, if you can do that too by Friday, please do. But that might take a little bit more time. So we don't want to overwhelm you. So just kind of, you know, just making sure that that is as clean as possible by the 15th is what we're asking for that. So likely as you're getting that core list to us by this Friday, you're identifying some of the issues, you're working on cleaning it up, but you will have until May the 15th to really try to resolve some of those issues. Ben, did you have another question, or was your hand just up from before?
I may have accidentally hit it again. I'm
sorry. It's okay. It's okay. I love it. All right. So when you all receive this PDF this afternoon, if you click here, that will take you to the spreadsheet, and it will be a view only version of the spreadsheet. So you can still, you know, so you can make a copy of it for yourself, put it in your own drive. You can print it out, you can do whatever, but you won't be able to make changes directly on the spreadsheet. So, you know, you can copy and paste, you know, students that are attached to you, you know, whatever is easiest for you to work from. But this particular spreadsheet will be a view only.
And we have a question from Kayla.
Yes. Hi, Kayla.
My question is, something I have not done is track like FAFSA and all that for seniors who are doing, because they've done it at their core high school or their main high school. Is that something I need to go back in and, because how I've seen it is, did I assist them? A lot of them, no. They already got it done through high school.
I wouldn't look at it as did you assist them, just make sure that it's done, because I've had people in the school helping me to get hours done.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well, and sometimes the parents do it. So yes, I would include that they have done it for the collection of that data.
And the guidance counselor should get a FAFSA completion report
Yeah, I don't get that.
Back to
I've
you.
already asked for it.
You don't have to contact every student, and you can go in and click off on it.
Yeah, I've already asked for it. They won't give it to me.
So talking with the student, Kayla is okay too, to get that information from them, so, and it's good for the student to know if they say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's something to follow up on. Like, well, let's, and we can, pick up the phone and call the guidance counselor. We can maybe talk to parent, because the student they need to know if they filled it out or not. So.
Yeah, the ones who have not known, I've asked them, hey, can we go to my Kia? Because you can look at your verification
Right.
through there. That's how we've done it. I
That's
just have it
great.
because it wasn't at the ATC. Is why I wasn't, but I can go back in because
Great.
I make hard copies of all my meetings. I know this sounds really stupid. I'm old school. I like pen and paper. So
Well, I like your Excel list too. I remember seeing that of your students, and that's a great example, I think.
oh that list, yeah.
Yeah, so you're both, you're old school and you're new age.
Okay, so look, alrighty. I was just
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
I'm
good.
fine.
That's very good. No, thank you for that. And I'm sure there are others on this call that are in the same situation. This is a great time just to tidy up, to make sure any and all information that is being asked for, starting with seniors, is complete, because that just really does help our program goals and funding overall. And it really helps to reinforce the impact of this program, just following up. There may not be anyone else, in that student's support team that's following up on those things. So even the fact that they did it, that's okay. You're just checking a box, but you may be that person and that student support, that is the only one checking up on that. So it's important. Thank you. Ben, did you have a question? I'm sorry to keep calling on you, but the hand is raised and I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Sorry,
there
Lord.
you go. You're like, why are you picking on me? Just
No,
wanted to make sure.
I'm slow with technology.
No, you're
sorry.
doing great. You're doing great. Thank you. All right. So, all right. So and if you have questions as you start to work through this list, reach out to Tony or me. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it out for you, and we'll just sort of figure it out together. But I love that some of you are already having some thoughts about how to make your data more robust and thorough. So, all right, look at this beautiful lady here. We are, Tony is going to talk with us now about winding down the 22-23 year school year. And I know some of you have already been asking some great questions. So Tony, I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. All right.
Oops, sorry.
So new this year, we want to do a more formal checkout. So can we scroll it to the top of that? Do you have the whole document?
Yeah,
up,
so
or-
I'm going to click here, guys. This is where the link will be when you get this for the whole document.
And
there we
make
go.
it bigger. Yes, thank you. Okay,
Yes.
so what I would like us to begin doing is kind of a reflection and tips to yourself if you're coming back, or to the coach who is coming back. So, and I'm going to read it from the top, Karen, if you don't mind
Okay,
hanging
sure.
it up there a minute. So the reason we want to do this is, some of you may have been around long enough to know that you leave that 2 weeks when the school's doing cleaning, and you come back and they've moved everything. And you don't have, you may not even know where all your files are. This is a common practice when people are active in the school, and especially when we have a transition between coaches. So we want you all to do some housekeeping items that ensure when you come back or the next person comes back, they can find what they're looking for. And we're going to do it two ways. We're going to do it a hard copy and a shared copy. So we'll have this set up on a Google Drive, so that I'd love for you to print this and put it in either the handbook, the binder that we send you, or somewhere for that next coach to see, or yourself. But we're also going to store it under a Google Doc, so that we, one, know you did it, and two, it's going to be there in case something happens. And then, so just some housekeeping things that need to happen. After graduation, you want to update all core students into America Learns. You want to make sure they're in there, their data is good. And then after graduating, you're going to move the graduating, exiting seniors to the alphabetized drawer with all previous students. And you're going to update the ones that are like with their scholarships. We want to capture that information. So somebody gave a tip, Rachel did, to take a program from the scholarship award event and write down the awards to help get that info into America Learns or get the information from the counselors. But we want to capture scholarship dollars. That's very important because we can show a percentage in our reports of what kind of scholarships our students, core students, get compared to the state average or even the school average, which validates why you're there. Then we're going to need to make a new file drawer for incoming freshmen, class of 2027. And so Karen, I think this is the older version that we had. So it doesn't have all the new updates. This is in progress. So we're working on it and I'm looking for tips. So this is going to evolve before we actually send it out to you. But you do need to make sure that you have a locked file drawer cabinet that includes, let's see here, that we have the key, and make sure we know where that key is so that the next person can get into that cabinet. And if you don't have a locked file cabinet, that's something that we need to know about because we do want to have it. Okay, and then I see Carmen says no one at her school has that scholarship information. So it may be that you're going to be interviewing your students and asking them, what kind of scholarships do you have? Okay, and then other housekeeping items would be to print out the permission forms for the summer events and other handouts. And I had a tip on this one that if you don't have access to a printer, you can go to your school library and borrow a Chromebook and use the printer that way. So there's more than one way to skin the cat, but handouts could be helpful, and having those ready ahead of time could be beneficial to you. And then we want you to update like the scavenger hunt that we gave you, and it's in the Google Drive, with the things about the school. Just what does a person need to know? And take time to list where the, hang on, who are the go-to people in your school? So if you had an event, or if you know that Kia comes in and they do presentations, is it going to be normally through the English class? It could be through social studies or US history or whatever, but just some tips to remind you and also to the others. And then America Learns tips. Remember to do your daily notes that day because it doesn't always let you go back and add later. And we never really gave a deadline of when you're supposed to submit your timesheets and monthly reports. But as a rule, it should be within 2 days after the end date, because we need to make sure it gets to your site supervisors and gets to us so that we can make sure it gets to NKU and that they know you're active. All right, let's scroll down a little bit.
Yep.
And here's another piece that we're going to do, reflections. And looking through the whole year, and this is so important because sometimes when we're in the middle of like a career day or a college fair or whatever, we're so hot and heavy into it that we're just trying to breathe the next day. So it's very important to think about your summertime, your fall, your winter, your spring. What are the events that happened? What worked well? What do you wish you had done? And who were the connections again? Because if this is a youth services event, that's kind of your connection that you would go to. And the next person, whether it's you or another person, needs to know this is that person. Now we know that person could change. And so that's okay. Say the youth services gets a new person, maybe that new person isn't going to have these same duties. it's okay. We know life changes, but having just kind of a reference to let you know works really well. Now, Ashley sent me, provided a really good checkout yesterday at our ambassador meeting. And so I've incorporated that into this one. So it's a newer version, but it included the social media. And the first part of that would be with Kia, because Kia does the YouTube events, the Facebook Live. We have a text where you can get timely updates. So it's going to have the social media updates in there. And for example, with Ashley's school, they have an account on there, I think it's their Twitter, that is generic to the coach. So again, that may already be there and you want to remember that, or you want the next coach to remember that. So this is going to be a form that we're going to tweak a lot and get out to you so that you can fill them out. And we want you to do it mainly for yourself. Fingers crossed, people are coming back. But also in case you don't come back, you're leaving your school in good shape. And I know everybody is vested in your schools. And if you have another opportunity to do something else, you still want your school to thrive with the things that you've already set in place there. So we're working on this. If you have suggestions, please email them to me at tmwiley@kheaa.com. I'll put that in the chat box. But that's basically it. So we're adding a few categories, and also we may include like field trips, just some tips about field trips on how to do that. Ashley broke it down really nicely. So it is kind of evolving. And Anastasia, did you have a question?
No, I didn't. I don't know if it like raised my hand by accident, but I didn't have a question.
Okay. Or you may want to mute your microphone.
Cool.
Right. Those are mainly the things that I wanted to talk about for the exit. We are working on that and hope to have something soon. I don't know how soon is, but definitely by the 15th. And again, it's a tool. I don't want you to think of it, oh, another assignment. I want you to think, be your best friend for next year, especially if you're coming in, and just take that time to reflect. What would I like to have done differently, or what really worked, and I don't want to forget how well it worked. Okay. Any questions on this?
Tony, thank you. I'm really excited to see what this, what the end result looks like, as far as, the expectations for wrapping up this school year. And those of you that are working over summer, serving over summer, I would imagine that some of this, might carry over into that. But for the most part, we're looking for this to be completed by the end of May. Ashley, I'm excited to see what you've used in the past and how that might be incorporated into this. I did want to say one thing. There is a bullet here under housekeeping as far as permission forms go. And so as of right now, we are going to go with the permission form as it stands. So if you are, if you encounter a student over the summer, maybe through a summer school activity or some other kind of event that you are participating in, go ahead and use the current permission forms. I do have the permission forms that you turned in at the training with some of your suggestions for improving and updating it. I have that on my to-do list to look over those. So those should be ready to go for fall. But right now, go ahead and use the permission forms, but I wouldn't print out, hundreds of them for next year yet, because likely my hope is that they'll change by being updated, but at least have some on hand for summer students. Cheryl?
Okay, and Cheryl?
Oh, Cheryl, did you, you're on mute. Did you have a question?
Yes, I do. So every monthly report that we've turned in so far talks about asking us, like, what do we need? How can we support you more? So Tony, is this information that you're asking us to put down for some of those things, are these things that we've already sent in our monthly reports? Do we just repeat that again?
Yes. Okay. So if This, because the new coach or even you may not have access to your reports next year. Like when we finish this term, I don't know that you can go back and see your reports from this year. So this is really a reflection and summary tool that you have one document that reminds you of things that have to be done and events and just suggestions to yourself on how to handle the year. And it's really a good tool. When I was director of admissions at St. Catherine College, it was just such a good tool, one, to take time to reflect on the whole year in a tone of just reflection. What did work? What would have been better? Because a lot of times, like 2 or 3 weeks later after something, we think, oh my gosh, I should have done this. So capturing that in one place that you can go back and look at, because, you know, admittedly, our monthly reports are good, but being able to see all that information in an easy format is not necessarily the easiest way with America Learns. And so this is really a document to yourself and to the next coach.
And Cheryl, you should be able to go back and look at those monthly reports too. And, you know, you and I can sit down together and even look through them if you want to pull some of that information from. Because it is hard sometimes, like, you know, after the year has gone through to say, oh, remembering what, you know, you did in September, or what you did in October. So those monthly reports will likely provide some really good, you know, information that you can also carry over to this.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way to do it, because you may have detailed something in there that you've forgotten about.
Yeah, mine have just kind of been the same every month. When I answer, like, what can we do to better support? It's just been the same thing. So I'll just include that same thing in this report too. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Kayla?
So my question, me being the one who likes to highlight things and stuff, are we able to print out previous monthly reports? Because I'm a person who likes to highlight, who likes to note. I'm very, like I said earlier.
So they're likely, and I could be wrong about this. I am not an expert in America Learns, still learning a lot. But, you know, if you can see it on a screen, you can print it out.
That's right.
So you could do Control P and you can print any screen, or you can copy and paste it into a document and print it that way. Those are just two, but I doubt very seriously that there's a print feature, but there could be. Anyone have a tip on that, or do you like my suggestion to Control P it?
Like your suggestion, we know that will work. It may have a little printer icon in there. I don't know. I've scanned them, but I haven't tried to print any of them. But yes, you should be able to look at your report completion. And when you click on that, it will show all the reports you've done, and you can just click on them. So I know you can see everything for this year, but because it's a new system and we haven't gone into a second year on it, I don't know that even if you remain in your position that you'll still be able to see it next year.
Okay.
That is something we'll be seeing.
Physically making notes, and
Yeah.
it helps my own brain to function.
Sure. And if anyone has trouble, you know, pulling those back up, let me know. I know that I can pull them up. I'm still not great at it, but I can figure it out, and then, you know, try to get that to you. So, but yeah, thank you. Good question, Kayla. Anyone else? All right. So what to kind of take away from this information is that we are asking for a couple of different steps to wrap up this school year. And that includes housekeeping and some tips and tricks and some reflections that you will be needing to take care of to get done. The complete list is not ready just yet, but it's coming soon. And if you have suggestions of things that have helped you in your service from year to year, or some ideas that you think other coaches would benefit from, please send those suggestions to Tony. And I include her email address now at the bottom of the slide, that you can email those to her. Okay. All right. Excellent. I just received right before this webinar information that this is the last parent camp, virtual parent camp that will be offered this school year. They may be doing some things over the summer, but oh no, it looks like they're not. They're not returning until August 9th. So if you've ever attended a virtual parent camp, likely you thought that it was a pretty engaging event. Lots of experts from across the field of education, all in one place for one. It starts in the evening, so I think it lasts an hour. It might be 2 hours. I apologize that I don't remember, but really great conversations. This particular one, I believe, is about engaging parents. And well, actually, it looks like they're each having their own. So you can join on the spot by using, or excuse me, they register and then they'll send you the link by using the QR code here. But if you've never attended a virtual parent camp, you know, this is a great time to do that. You can, you know, sit there, you know, I guess they'll let you turn your camera off and all that. I mean, they tell you that you can just listen in, but I found them very engaging and lots of great people. I know the one session that I was in, it was the commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Education. I was in a group with him and I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, it was just kind of, you know, interesting to get information straight from you know, such an authority in education. But these are great speakers that they have and host in these different sessions. So in these different rooms. And it is free. You can include that on your timesheet as service because it's, you know, professional development. So if you are in need of hours and are, or, you know, just really enjoy learning and being connected with individuals across state and really across the country in education, please register for this event tonight. Right. Any questions or concerns or feedback on parent camp? All right. So the time that I have is 11:20. I had hoped that we would have some time to really kind of dig back into the data. So I don't know. I was going to go ahead and do a closing and then put the link in the chat for you all to go ahead and click. And, you know, I'll stay on for a little bit in case you have questions about the data or about your core seniors. If you have questions, feel free to hang on to, but if you would prefer to email that to me, that works too. And like I said, if I don't know the answer, I will get the answer for you. So, so our checkout question, we're going to do another poll since we're just, you know, we're just so good at polls now, is I'm asking, what has been the highlight of your Kentucky College service? And so whether that's been just a few months or if it's been a few years, here you should be able to type out your question. So it's not just a pick one. So take some time to reflect overall, just in a brief statement, what has been the highlight of your Kentucky College coaches service? And I just know that somebody is going to say the highlight of their service was watching me break dance at the in-person training. Now, it was my highlight too. And I couldn't have done it without Greg. That was probably really the low light, I'm sure, for you all. And so far we have about half that have responded. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a real long statement. I just love to hear and to read what your highlights of service have been. So And I really have, for those of you that are exiting at the end of May, I just want to say that I've really enjoyed getting to know you. And it's been an honor for me. I've learned so much from each and every one of you. And I just want to thank you for your service. For those of you that are continuing on, whether through the summer or pausing and maybe picking back up in the fall, I'm really excited to see what 23-24 has in store for the program, for you, for your students. It's just so exciting to think about. I think we're just going to make it better and better every year. So.
And I agree. Everything Karen said, I agree. It's been a great year. And I have super enjoyed working with everybody. And for those that are doing something different, we wish you the best.
Yes. Lots of great opportunities headed your way for those of you that won't be joining us again. And I'm just so excited for you. And I hope this was everything you wanted it to be and more. All right. It looks like we have just a few more. And if you don't have anything to say, that's okay. But it looks like most of you do. So I love that. So again, what has been the highlight of your Kentucky College Coach service? And I am going to end this here in just a moment. So if you're in the process of typing, sorry to speed you along, but I did want to kind of share out what some of you wrote. So I'm showing that we still have two more, and I don't want to cut you off, but I may have to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end it, and I'm so sorry if I'm cutting somebody off, but so I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to share the results, and I'm not sure what this is going to look like, if it's going to give me what everybody wrote. Hopefully it does. All right, hang on. I've never done the long answer, so I'm looking definitely like an amateur right now. You all took all this wonderful time. Oh, please work, please work. Oh my gosh, and now it's gonna make me authenticate it. I did all of this morning, authenticated, but it didn't last.
Crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy. Oh, yay, it's working. Okay. So hang on. Let me pull this over. Oh. Let me move this. Sorry, guys. All right. See more answers. So I will definitely save these so that I can have them and sort of reflect on that. But just kind of randomly picking a few, seeing my students believe in themselves even more, watching smiles of seniors on sign day, one-on-one discussions with students, the reception of the staff for this program, helping kids who thought college was not possible enroll in college. Oh yes, I love hearing those experiences that you have when somebody says, well, the reason I don't want to go to college is because I don't know how, or I can't afford it. And then you all show them how that's possible. I mean, that is just magic. Easily the trade wars banner, working with so many wonderful young people. Kayla's interpretive dance by the fire. Kayla. So I don't see my my break dancing that made it, but your interpretive dance did make it. Becoming a person that my core students feel comfortable around and trust. And I can tell you that is so important. I know many of our students have experienced trauma and just really toxic relationships, unfortunately. And the fact that they trust you and build this relationship with you is just something that is just so vital to their next step, but just, in their development overall. And my highlight has been meeting and working with such amazing people, both students and staff. That is great. And I couldn't agree more. Just wonderful staff. I'm so fortunate to have the colleagues that I do. So I'm going to copy and paste this just in case it wipes out once I close the meeting, because I would be so devastated if it did.
Please do.
Yes, that is great. Thank you all. I did make it anonymous because, I figured nobody would share anything really terrible, but I just wanted to do that. But maybe the next time I should really make sure that I let you all be identified in that. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead now. Let me put this in a doc real quick before I lose access to that. All right, so that has been saved now. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat. Okay, so it's not letting me do that. Hang on, sorry. I'm realizing all sorts of new things with Zoom today. Let me put into the chat the link to that view only spreadsheet. Now it is possible, I tried to make it so not be the case, but it is possible that it will ask you to get permission, and I apologize if it does that. I tried to fix it ahead of time, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. So here is the core senior data list. All right. And so if you click that, you should be able to scroll it. You won't be able to make any changes on there. Find your name. Any students that has your name attached to it, work on those first. Those will be the easiest, just to kind of see if those numbers are looking close to the numbers that you have in your own records. Again, this data doesn't need to be completely cleaned up until the 15th, but if you can start on it now, that would just make it that much easier. But please make sure that you are providing the eligible core senior numbers to your program manager by this Friday. All right. Yes.
So I don't know if it's just on my end, but it's just showing me the names and the numbers. It doesn't have the rest of that information you're talking about.
Okay. Are you scrolling all the way down?
Same way for me.
Oh, it's all the way on the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, you got to keep scrolling. Yeah. So all the
Those
ones
top
that
numbers,
What's that?
they're the ones that need to be tagged.
Yes.
So we want you to look at that group that are not tagged to see if you recognize if any of those are your students. And then you would need to pull them up or try to request them, and then we can assign them to you.
Sorry.
No, you don't need to be sorry. It is, I mean, believe me, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, what's wrong with this? Well, then I realized, oh, you have to keep, so yeah, there'll be some serious scrolling going on there. And I probably should have separated it out, but I wanted to make sure everybody did see it, like what Tony said. If you know these students, at least make a note of it. Let's try to fix it in the system. All the students that we were training. Okay. So yeah, Carmen, your confirmation there, it sounds like that these students were the encore transfers. So that's very interesting. What if I don't see any of my students in there? If you actually, I mean, you scrolled the entire list and you cannot find your name, hang on, David, and I'm going to help you with that in just a moment. Okay. Any questions that would benefit the group right now before I let you all go? All right. Feel free to hang on. Just bear with us as we kind of work through the questions, and maybe as we do, it'll answer some of the questions that you have too. So I hope, the document, I just stuck the link in the chat, Mason. If you look, it says core senior data list. Oh, you're so welcome. Okay. And again, all this will be shared out in an email a little bit later today. So some of you I know are busy and you can't look at it right now, but just be on the lookout for the email that I'll send out later with the slideshow and everything. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to talking with you again soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good seeing everybody.
Bye.